let's get into the AI stuff. So the thing I want to kind of like level set this with is a few things. One, I feel like my team and I have done a really great job of being very like AI informed. I've taken programs, Taylor's taken programs. We feel very committed to being on top of that. And we also have a business that is like relentlessly human. um, we have a very, very high touch model, right? We want our clients to feel like we are in partnership with them. Like that is really at the center of our model. And so both things are kind of true. And I just want you to know that because that informs the conversation, which is like we are relentlessly human over here. And we have been like very invested in like the education on AI. Like I really believe it's coming whether we want it to or not. And so like it's our job to figure out how we relate to it. However, I'm about to say the thing that I feel like nobody's saying and that you're kind of like not supposed to say out loud, but here I am saying it out loud. And I think at risk of sounding like I'm not informed or as smart or as whatever as other business owners, and you know what? I am like so here for that. If anyone wants to think that, like by all means, it might actually be true. I have no idea. But my experience up to this point with a lot of like the AI stuff is that it's one of those things that's like really, really good in theory and not as great in practice. Um, where like in theory, it's so great that AI can write all your shit. And in practice, there is a lot of stuff with that. Or it's so great that in theory, AI can manage your whole inbox, but in practice, there's something left to be desired. Um, and that has been my overall experience with a lot of stuff. I'm not saying any of the programs we've taken have not been great. I'm just saying, like, I think where the capabilities are right now with a lot of what we're doing, I find it mediocre at best. And I'm sure that will change over time. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, I'm quite sure that will evolve. But I wanted to say that out loud. Because I feel like what I think happens for so many people is they're like, gosh, everyone must know something I don't because everyone's out here talking about it. And like for me, it's just so. And like, yeah. Okay. So if you're feeling like, oh, okay, like for me, it's just so, or for me, it's just like, a thing we use sometimes in a tool, but it's not like this thing that everyone's making it out to be where it runs my entire business. Like, yeah, like I think that's how it is for most people right now. And I think a lot of people are just scared to say that out loud because they think it will seem like they're missing something or not informed. And again, if that's the takeaway, that's cool. But for me, I think it's true for the vast majority of people in our industry right now. And I feel like we need to say that out loud. Now, this doesn't mean we don't use it or that it's not a tool. It's a tool, right? But I don't think that's how it gets framed in most of the marketing. And so I think that's where it gets really wonky and where I think what AI is doing for a lot of people in business right now is it's giving people this pervasive, constant feeling that they're behind and missing something, which we know is like the shtick in business, right? Um, where it feels like, wow, someone always knows something I don't, but you can never quite catch it because it's never quite there. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's like you never quite catch the secret because there's not really a secret, or you never quite get to the point where you feel like it can do all of your shit because it can't yet, you know? Again, yet I think is the big asterisk here. Like, I'm not saying we won't get there, but I'm just saying, like, we're just talking about today, right? Manali said, I feel like it's helpful with admin, but at the end of the day, it's still a tool you have to use and manage. Exactly. Lacey said, same, and that doesn't even include the environmental, economic issues it's causing. Right, totally. Um, I probably won't speak on that a lot today because I do not feel like I am like the person that is most educated or aware on that, but that is certainly a consideration. So anyway, I think we just kind of like I just want to be honest about that experience so that nobody feels like they're constantly chasing this thing that they can't quite get to or can't quite wrap their heads around or hands around. Like in fact, I think like a lot of what you know we're chasing is maybe not even that far away in terms of like AI's capabilities. But again, I just want to like name that. Um, so for a Lit Up Life, we well, I'm trying to think of what's most helpful. Okay, I'm going to tell you like the things that we use it for a bit, and then we'll go into like some of the other pieces around that. Um, so one of the things that we use it for is I've been like super transparent about this. I don't use it for copy or content, but I do use it for podcast show notes. Um, it like it listens to the podcast, i.e. it gets a transcript of the podcast. It gives me, I think, five title ideas. It writes the show notes in the format we use. I go in and I edit from there. So even that, I'm still editing. The difference is it takes me like 3 minutes to edit versus whatever it would take, like, I don't know, 20 minutes to write. But honestly, it like for me, it used like I used to have a team member do that. And so it's about the same amount of time for me. Either way. So like that task has always been outsourced, if that makes sense. It's just now outsourced to AI as opposed to someone in our business. And so that I do find incredibly helpful. I feel like show notes are like important from like a search perspective and maybe from a new listener, I don't feel like they're necessarily worth 25 minutes of my time each week. And so that feels like a really good exchange. Hey, Kristen. Good to see you. Um, we have it help with like a lot of admin tasks. Like we're planning a retreat for our clients. It's done like so much like research and things like that for us. I find that very helpful. Both from my perspective and Taylor's perspective, like we're always leaning on it for options and research. Or like if we have a tech thing, we're like, okay, cool. What are all of our options with this? Like we're always using it as like a brainstorming partner, a research partner, all of those things. Um, I know podcast show notes are good for SEO, but do people actually read them other than finding links to reference there? That's my point. I kind of don't think so. We put them on a slide, Michelle, on Instagram, like in stories, so people like know what that week's podcast is about. So like I find that part helpful, but right, like the exchange isn't there for me, you know? What I really like is a manifestor generator in HD. I need something to respond to in order to figure out how I feel about something. So when AI gives me ideas, then it's so easy for me to be gut yes or gut no. I'm exactly the same. Exactly. That's why the show notes are so helpful for me. Or like if Taylor wants me to look at something, she'll almost always put something through AI first and give me a starting point. And even if I use nothing, like that ability to respond to something is so huge for me as a generator too. So I think it is like very useful in that way. Um, yeah, bullet point summary, exactly. Um, so planning, research, like even sometimes like if I have something in mind for like client guests where I'm like, well, I want it to represent this and I want it to be this and I want it to be this. Again, like we'll use AI for all of this kind of like research and stuff. We use it for like light assistance with meta ads in terms of like rephrasing copy. So we have like a ton of different options of it, or like creating multiple options, or even having it do some graphics, things like that. Giving us different ideas for graphics. Like even one time Taylor and I were kind of just stuck on like, oh my God, how can we make this different? So obviously like AI can just give us like, here are like 12 different versions of this. That I think is really helpful. Again, it's like something to respond to. It's like idea generation, like all really useful. Um, Another way that we use it is we've had it do like a social media audit where it pulls like best performing um, posts and things like that. And it has audited in terms of like you could do this or you could do that. I have not personally found that to be very helpful. However, having like a best performing post thing pulled so that my team could then go pull those posts and have them in a bank for us to repurpose was really helpful. Where I'm like, oh, okay, like I know now that we have like whatever these 10 best performing things that are like sitting here in a bank so that if like whatever I'm sick one week or something or I don't feel like creating content, like we have something that could go out if I wanted to. I personally like that. Again, like helpful, but I think it's not like that like mind-blowing shit that like kind of gets put out there. I think that we have trained it like pretty significantly on like brand voice and stuff, and I think it does okay. I just don't like the copy and content it puts out because it feels soulless to me. I will say when I did that side by side comparison of like I wrote it versus our trained AI wrote it, a lot of people were like, oh wow, yours actually does sound kind of like you, or it doesn't feel quite as AI. So I think there is something there, but I don't think that it's at all at the point where it feels to me like me or like um, it's not kind of soulless. So we don't like use it for anything related to that. Um, what else? So I asked Taylor to give me like all of her thoughts on this. And I'm just like looking at her notes so I can make sure I tell you guys all of this too. So here's like the ultimate thought. So like those are most of the ways we use it in the business, right? Like if we need research, if we need admin, if we need help planning, we do show notes, we do research with it, we do uh like idea generation, but honestly, like I would say that's a little bit more my team. I do less of it now because I feel like if I do too much, I used to do a lot more content idea generation with it, but I feel like even that I have been staying away from a little bit more lately because I feel like it often like takes me in a different direction than I was intending. And then I'm like, wait, I've kind of lost the plot here. So sometimes I will, but um, not as much as I used to. Which I also think is a good thing because I think it's like good to try it and then you get to decide like how much or how little do I want this to be. But the point I really wanted to make today is there are a ton of other ways to use it. Okay. But in my particular business, the reason that's about all we do is because a lit up life, what I always say, we're like a 10-seat bar with a line out the door. It's like has always been my shtick. Okay. So as a 10-seat bar with a line out the door, we are relentlessly human. Like that is our model. Okay. Like I want our clients to have a high touch experience. Like I don't have 100 customer service requests that like Claude needs to go into my Gmail and respond to, right? Like I have a handful of like high touch private clients that I want Taylor to be the one responding to. I want them to feel like they're getting a really high touch personal experience from us. And like ultimately, in order to give that, in some ways, what I'm giving up is the ability to like have AI be our customer service person, right? Or to have AI be our salesperson. Like that wouldn't even work out a Lit Up Life, right? Like, I even thought like, oh, I wonder what I could have it do with all of our applications. But like I mean, sure, I could have them summarize it, and I'm sure I can have like key themes from it or whatever. But at the end of the day, like I pick um people like I pick my partnership spots based on like not just what it like these criteria markers. I'm like, who do I think I can help the most? Like, what's the feeling? What's the energy? Like, and like I'm sure I could get support from AI and like summarizing some of these and whatever, but like that's just not the relentlessly human approach that we take. And so the point I want to make is I think that we're kind of getting to this place where if you want to run a business that's relentlessly human, you have to be willing to give up some of this, like AI is all your team members kind of thing. And if you have a really high scale, high touch business model, you have to understand that, like, you probably are getting away from some of these human elements, right? And probably what is going to happen in our industry is that it's going to split further and further down the middle, where like you're either leaning very strongly um, towards this sort of like systematizing or oh my God, what am I trying to say? What's the word? It starts with an A. Whatever. Um, towards like AI, or you're leaning much, much, much harder toward like high touch, human based. And like this has kind of always been a line that we've been, or like a decision we've been faced with at a Lit Up Life, because there's even before AI, there was all of this automation, 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 right? Um, thank you, Sam, because I just said it like 16 times, even though it was what I was trying to get back then. There's always been that. And like obviously it did a little bit less than AI, but there's always been this kind of thing. And I've always said, no, I'd rather Taylor be the one, or no, I don't want them to get that email from like an automated thing. I want them to get it from Taylor. Like that is just a decision I've always made. Now, I know the AI people will be like, you're going to be left behind. And here's what I will say to that. Maybe. Um, I don't think any of us fucking know. However, I do believe there is going to be a market for relentlessly human in an AI world. But I also believe that some businesses that are operating at a high level at scale do really need to adopt AI in these ways to make it work for them. Like, I don't think it's one or the other at all. I think it very much depends on like where are you leaning, where are you filling holes in the market, and what does your model need you to do, right? If I tried to automate or AI, is that what we're calling AI? Sam, are you, when you're doing AI, are you calling it automation or are you calling it something else? But anyway, if I was trying to like automate our entire customer process, it would take away from what I have always made our thing. And so I would lose part of the reason someone might hire me in doing so. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't compete with AI in terms of knowledge. You know what I'm like? I'm out. But where I can is like in this human element, right? Where I can is knowing them in this really deep way. Where I can is being someone that can like read their body language and know their emotions and know what that feels like, and all of these pieces that like I think lean toward being relentlessly human. Um, let's see what you guys are saying. I love relentlessly human. Thank you, Megan. Michelle said, I totally think that human touches in business will absolutely be refreshing and something people will look for. Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's just a matter of what the human, hold on, versus the automated things will be. Exactly. Sam said, I think it's about using AI to do the things you can automate. So you're freeing up more time for people first, creative work. That is the right, valuable way to leverage it. Totally agree, right? Um, but, and I think that's what we do, right? Like in terms of like show notes and research and all of those, like kind of give me something to respond to. Like, I think that we do a really great job of being like, let's do what we can. And then it ends kind of like at the point where we want them to feel like really supported and all of those things. But again, I think that that's really different because of our model. And so I like want everyone to look at it through that lens. Like it's really going to depend on what you're doing. I also don't have like a high output model in terms of like um products or courses or whatever. Like if I was like making a new template every week or something like that, that might be like I might be using it on a totally different level. I don't. My podcast, it's not like even for my podcast, I need it to outline my podcast. Like I show up and coach on my podcast. You know what I mean? Like it's just not that. Um, Sam says I usually say leveraging AI. Okay, because sometimes you are using it to automate, even though a lot of people aren't fully automating with it yet. Brainstorm, partner, do manual things, dig through data. Yes. People first is going to become a differentiator. Agree. I feel like with coaching, obviously AI can help present option strategies, but it can't read your body language or how you really feel about something rather than what you say or talk with about what you say or talk about it back and forth with. Yeah, totally. I mean, I think that like again, will it get better at that? Maybe. I think that's totally possible, but like ultimately I think like it's still a robot. Right? Like, and also I think a lot of people use it because it feels safer to be witnessed by a robot than a human, but I think the most transformation occurs by being witnessed from a human, by another human, right? And so I like really believe that, it's like easier to say something to AI than it is to your therapist or your coach sometimes, but saying it to your therapist or coach is like actually where we like let go of the shame. It's actually where we create transformation. It's actually where someone can like see us fully versus sort of just mirror back to us what's there. So, I think I just want to like approach this conversation with a lot of nuance. Like I have not been blown away, right? But I also have a business model that it would be almost impossible for it to blow me away because we lean toward human. That is where our market differentiation is going to continue to be, right? I have some clients that are using it a ton in their businesses right now. I will say most of them have services more than coaching, and they have products more than coaching. Like, so that's something to think about. I think that when you are selling more of a product, i.e., like a template or something like that, or when you're selling more of like a done for you service, I think it is much easier to leverage it well in business with some of those things than if you are, again, trying. like, I think what is happening to a lot of coaching businesses is they're trying to sell like the human element, but they're doing it with like robot writing and it's fracturing a lot of things. I also think that, while it can build out a landing page for you or create graphics for you, like what tends to happen very quickly is that all of it looks the same, just like all of it sounds the same. And so I think that it's not bad as a starting point, but I think that we have to be really careful. Like, what am I trying to sell? And does this align to that? And if I'm using it as a baseline, am I just like doing something to get it done? Or am I doing something because like it's actually going to get the best results? It's just like when everyone used to sell like buy my 10 series email templates. It's like those are great, but if you're literally just going to use that exact template and then they go through 5 other people's sequences and they all sound the same, it's probably going to be bad for business. If you use that template and actually put a lot of your own energy, attention, and effort into it, it's going to be totally different. And so it's not that any of this is bad. It's just that like it really does matter how you're using it. It really does matter if there's still like you in it. If that's, and I think that what can happen is we really think that like if we just train it well once, that we're in all of it. And I just don't think I see that in most businesses right now. Um, so, like, if you're selling you as the deliverable, they have to feel you in your content, is what I really believe. And again, I think there are a lot of ways to do that. For me, I've just decided no AI. I don't, some of my clients have absolutely not decided that, but we have to work hard to be like, okay, this line doesn't sound like something you would say out loud. This line, doesn't sound like you. And they have to be willing to do that iteration because it's so important for what they're selling. So I think that's ultimately what's hard about this is like a lot of times people are learning about it from someone who is having a totally different business model and has totally different value points and has totally different market differentiation than them, and they're confused like why it doesn't feel as helpful as some people seem to find it. And ultimately I think that's why. Yeah, co-regulation is so real. I feel like using AI creates a lot of discernment when you have that and use it to think critically, and it can be so valuable, but when you just take it at face value, you start to get into problems. Exactly my point. It's like anything in business, right? It's like repurposing content is really helpful. And if all you're ever doing is repurposing content that you wrote 4 years ago and you're never checking it or you're never updating it or you're never whatever, it's going to work against you. Like it's all of this stuff where like I think that, what we're kind of trying to do, I think, and especially I think so many women business owners that have children and responsibilities and big lives and a lot of overwhelm can almost lean on it too hard because it feels like it's just a way to get a bunch of shit done. And that can feel really good to like check that box and be like, okay, great. All my content's done for the week. All my emails are written, all whatever. And like my landing page is built. And like, I think there's like, I get why that sells. Like, that's so appealing. Like, oh, the exhale of that. Like, fuck, I wish all my content for the week was done. Actually, I think it almost is. But you get what I'm saying. Like, I wish my content for the next 3 weeks was done. I have to write an email tonight. I have no idea, or today, that I need to deliver to my team tonight. Like, I have no idea what I'm writing about yet. Like, it would be so nice, I think, if we could just hand over all of that and never think about it. But the truth is, like, you can only do that so much without fracturing that. And so you can use it to like whatever level feels better to you. Like the ultimate reason I decided to stop using it for content and copy is because I was spending more time using it and then trying to edit a bunch of it and then trying to like get different ideas with it and then going it back and forth with it, trying to get it to understand what I meant by this, that like it just like wasn't actually that helpful to me, even when it was good, Um, so it's not like for this particular stance where I'm like, oh, I will not use AI. I'm like, it just genuinely didn't like, you know, like it wasn't a huge benefit, right? Michelle, don't tempt me. I will write an email about jewelry. Yes, I think that not being so helpful, having to correct it, et cetera. Right. Like when I looked at like how long is it going to take me if I just write this email versus how long is it going to take me if I like go back and forth with it for a while, like I liked it better when I just wrote it and it took me less time. So I'm like in business, I'm never like, oh, it has to be this way or that. I'm just like, what works? What makes this better? And again, and some of my clients, like I have 2 clients that have agencies, and they're working on building, well, one of them has built out and someone else is working on building out these bots that like review content that a human writes, and they score it on a rubric and it doesn't move forward until it meets the score. Like the scoring guidelines, it is amazing in that. Like it is so helpful, 10 out of 10. Like, but we just always, so it's like not like we can go like yes AI or no AI. It's like, is it truly helpful in this situation? And where I think people get fucked up in business, and the reason I wanted to do this is because the truth is it is still not helpful across the board in every model in every situation right now. And I think we have to say that. Like, and when we say that, it's like, oh, okay, great. We're back to self-trust. We're back to discernment. We're back to like, oh, it just doesn't actually save me time to use it there. I won't. Oh, it's so helpful for podcast show notes, permission to use it there. Like, I think that's when it gets good. And that's when it also clarifies like where it lives in your business. Like, so for Taylor and I, having done so much learning on it and done programs and all of this stuff, it was so clarifying to be like, okay, relentlessly humans are a thing. Like, let's double down. Like that. I mean, not that that shouldn't have been obvious, but like it just helps keep reinforcing that instead of again like feeling like this measuring stick or thing that we need to be making ourselves wrong for. Listen, girl, that's what I heard when you said I don't know what I'm supposed to write this email about. Go for it on it. Um, so yeah, I think that's really it. Like, does it make sense for you? And without thinking you're missing something, it's like, is the current use case helpful? Cool, let's do it. You know, if I have it build out my landing page and write all the copy and like write all my emails, does that get me results? I don't know. Let's check the data. Like, I think that's the thing. Like, but being behind the scenes with so many clients and having situations like that and then looking at the data, like I just see right now that the data suggests that that does not produce the best results, right? If and when that data shifts, I'm willing to shift with that too. But like as of right now, that's not what I see. And then also personally for me, when I see someone that's out there marketing like, you know, AI runs my customer support and it made my newsletter and it made my landing page and it made, I feel like a true non-desire to go then read that landing page or like interact with them. And again, that might just be me. I'm just like speaking from my experience, but like I'm never like, ooh, let me see. I'm like, I'm good. Right? Like I could talk to Claude all day long. Like I don't necessarily need it, you know, to be like reading more Claude in your email. So again, like that might not be you, and it also might not be what your people are most after from you. And that's really, I think, like the thing to figure out. If your people are most after a certain type of information and AI really helps you provide that, great. If your people are most after like the human element and the human connection and hiring you as like their support might not be as appealing, you know? Yeah, the use of AI and forward facing things is not a draw for me either. Yeah, yeah. So I really think that like this will continue to evolve. Like I think that we're you know, not terribly far from me potentially being on here and eating all my words, you know, like that. And I'm like so here for that. But I really did just want to be like a voice in saying, like, hey, if it's not like everything you've dreamed of and more, same. And don't make yourself wrong for that. And don't feel like you're constantly missing something. Like, let's just be honest about the fact that it still has limitations. And like, again, some of those may continue to get removed with time. But like, ultimately, if the industry continues to split and you're either like over here really like scaling and automating with AI, or you're over here being, you know, like doubling down on the human element, like it's helpful to kind of decide where you might want to fall on that. And that might really, really inform how you use it and how much you invest in it and how you want to continue to scale with it. Um, Michelle, I could not agree with that more. I actually, I recorded a talking head and I said like exactly that in it. And then I totally did not have my I did it in my car and it was like hooked up to my thing so you can barely hear me talking. But anyway, I literally said exactly that because I agree with you so much. Like I think the yaps have taken off because they're so relentlessly human. Like and the ones that are super scripted don't take off, right? The ones where it feels like someone is just yapping with you, like there is a reason that that works so well, right? And of course, there's so much else underneath it, surely, but like most of what's underneath it is still the human element. Like I think that there really is still this pervasive craving for that. And I think that we don't want to make that wrong. Like, I think what Taylor and I ultimately decided and came to, and like, I know she would say exactly this if she were here, is like, we want our clients to feel like they're talking to another human. We want our clients to have a very high touch experience. We want it to feel incredibly personalized. It's everything we market to, it's everything we're centered around. And we're willing to pay the price of not changing that. If the price is paying for human team members, if the price is that we like can't put 5,000 people in coaching with me with an AI bot, like I'll pay that price all day long, right? Um, I, however, will say I am very glad that we, and I think this is important to say too, I am very glad that we invested in that. Like, I'm not looking back being like, I wish we wouldn't have invested in a program or any of these things. I am so glad we did, because I feel very empowered around it. But I don't feel like I'm glad because like we're using it a ton. I feel like I'm glad because I understand the use cases, and I think it's really helpful for me to understand that for clients. But I truly just do not believe my business has the best use case for that. So what I'm always focused on is like, what can get off my plate so I can be on copy and content. And sometimes it's AI getting something off my plate, sometimes it's my team, but like, I know me being here and creating this content, or me writing a post for tomorrow, or that writing an email about jewelry, like, is the thing that sells my high touch one-on-one services. And I'm just like committed to doing that. Um, yes, like I want to feel like we're on FaceTime and you're just rambling mostly. Yes, exactly. Right. I even noticed that with my own, whenever I've tried to like almost like overdo it or think about what I was going to say a little too much, they like just don't perform as well. Whenever I've been like, oh, I just have this thought and I like put my phone, I'm like, it always happens for me when I'm driving. So I'm like driving and then I like pull over and put my phone down and I record it. Like, that usually does better. Because I think that that is like so much of what we're craving. So anyway, I hope that's helpful. I hope I didn't out myself too much. I'm kidding. Um, but like, I think it's a tool like anything else. Some businesses are going to benefit from it more than others. Everyone that's shouting at you how behind you are constantly is probably just selling something related to AI. Um, so there's that. But it's like not going anywhere either, right? Like, we don't need to pretend like it's not going anywhere. We don't have to like push against it. I think like we can be like, I want to embrace the pieces that I can embrace, and that work right now in this current juncture. And like, I don't think it's worth feeling all this pressure to like figure out this secret that like no one can quite pinpoint. Um, I think even people that are, teaching AI still have human team member. Like, you know what I mean? It's not like most people teaching AI don't not have human team members still or whatever. Like, that we're just not at this point where it's running our businesses yet. And like, who knows if we'll ever get there, but like, I just really believe like right now, most of us don't need to be there and shouldn't be there. Um, and like, I just want to, open that conversation, tell the truth about it. I feel like everyone's like nervous to seem like they don't know what they're talking about when it comes to AI by saying stuff like that. But like, to me, that's just like what I see. I see the data around what it produces, and I see it as like a tool and a huge opportunity, and as something that still needs a lot of discernment. And like, I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's a good thing. Like, I don't know that I ever want to get to a place where the robot's running my business and I don't have any discernment in it. So I don't think that has to be bad. I just think we have to go in with eyes wide open. So if y'all have any questions for me, let me know. Happy to answer it. But like, that's pretty much the gist. I really, I think we use it a moderate, a minor to moderate amount. I think the things we use it for, it's very helpful. And I think the things that we don't, I feel good about, how we're not. And I think other businesses should do it totally different than us. Just seconding that this email needs to be about jewelry because I got distracted by your ring stock on your right hand. Oh, thank you. This is my grandmother's, and it is like so special. I love it. She is such a jewelry queen, and so this is hers. It's like a jacket for it. So I feel like so lucky to wear it. But thank you. Okay, so jewelry it is. I'm gonna write that down. Jewelry email coming y'all's way. Um, I love that my team's probably gonna be like, hey, so like one-on-one applications are open. Are you sure you want to send this email about jewelry? And I'm gonna be like, well, yes, I do. Thank you so much. Okay, I hope you guys have a beautiful Monday. Again, reminder, 101 applications are open. They close on the 28th. If you have questions about it, let me know. You can apply for a regular spot or a podcast spot. And I'm happy to help you use AI in your business. I'm not anti-AI, but I will also be very real with you about like what your model is and what's helpful. So if that kind of coaching is useful for you, hopefully I'm your girl. You're so right. All right. I hope you guys have a beautiful week and I'll talk to you next week. Okay.